Good morning. My name is Julie Doyle. I have the honor of serving as president of the Lynchburg City Schools Education Foundation, and I'm thrilled to welcome each and every one of you to the 17th Annual Superintendent's Breakfast. This year's breakfast is especially exciting for the Ed Foundation, since for the first time in 3 years, we are gathering for an in-person celebration after hosting virtual gatherings in the spring of 2021 and 2022. How many of you in this room were with us 3 years ago on March 10th, 2020? That's a lot. This event had typically been held each year on a Thursday, but for reasons I cannot recall, we moved the event to a Tuesday, a decision which turned out to be providential. For many, if not all of us who were here that day, the Superintendent's Breakfast on March 10th, 2020 would be the last large gathering any of us would attend for a very long time. We congregated here on that day in early March 2020 with nearly 450 supporters of Lynchburg City Schools, sitting shoulder to shoulder. As we had been advised, we awkwardly elbow bumped and used the hand sanitizer left on each table, but in hindsight, we had no idea what lay ahead. The very next day, March 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 outbreak a global pandemic. And possibly just as unsettling, the NBA announced the suspension of their season effective immediately. We all know what followed in the coming months. The challenges the COVID-19 pandemic brought to families, businesses, the healthcare system, and our schools were monumental. So finally being able to be here together again in person for this wonderful gathering is especially poignant. Thank you for choosing to spend your time supporting the Lynchburg City Schools this morning. Those in this room collectively represent the economic, intellectual, political, community resources that are needed to continue the tradition of excellence for the Lynchburg City Schools. The LCS Foundation creates and supports programs which provide innovative educational opportunities for our students and teachers. Many of these programs are highlighted in the materials on your table this morning. Your support of this event today helps to ensure the work of the foundation remains impactful in our community. I want to especially thank our 12 lead sponsors and our 40 table sponsors who are all listed in your program. Without their support, this event would not be possible. Among the many changes since we last gathered for this breakfast is the change in leadership in the LCS Education Foundation. Jody Gillette tirelessly led this organization for over 12 years as executive director, guiding the foundation through a period of growth while working with the foundation board members to be faithful stewards of the organization's resources. In August 2022, Jody took her talents across town to CVCC and is now overseeing the educational foundation at the community college. LCS's loss is definitely CVCC's gain, but we can all be grateful that Jody is still doing incredible work on behalf of this community. The LCS Education Foundation Board was fortunate to be able to hire Don Wise as Jody's successor. In this case, it was the United Way's loss, which was the foundation's gain. It says a lot about this community and the United Way team specifically that they are here today, as they always have been in the past, to support the foundation and to cheer on Dawn in her new role. Dawn brought years of nonprofit leadership experience to the foundation when she took over as executive director in November. She has hit the ground running, as evidenced by her and her team pulling together this wonderful event today. You will hear from Dawn later in the program, but I will ask her to stand now to be recognized. Where are you? There she is. I would also like to recognize two other foundation staff members, Bianca Childress and Tracy Baker. Can you wave? Bianca turned a passion for early childhood education into a leadership role with the Lynchburg chapter of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is now housed under the foundation umbrella. Thanks to Bianca's drive and determination and the generosity of donors, over 2,000 Lynchburg area children, newborn to age 5, are receiving free books in the mail each month. Today we are celebrating the important role of parents in their children's education, so I want to point out that by providing a wide variety of books to the youngest children in our community, the Imagination Library is helping parents to prepare future Lynchburg students for kindergarten and beyond. Tracy Baker has been an invaluable part-time administration with the foundation for several years, as well as a tireless volunteer for the Tools for Schools warehouse, which provides free resources for teachers to access educational materials and supplies for their classrooms. Tracy was especially appreciated by me as board president when she took on new tasks and worked extra hours to help ensure the business of the foundation continued during the executive director search and transition. Thank you, Tracy. I would also like to recognize my fellow LCS Education Foundation board members and thank them for all their work on behalf of the community. Our volunteer board is made up of 23 local leaders, many of them parents of past or present LCS students, all who are committed to our public schools and the work of the foundation. Their dedication is greatly appreciated. Many of the board members are here today, and I ask them to stand to be recognized. Come on. The theme of this year's breakfast is celebrating parents as partners. When Dr. Edwards suggested that the focus of this year's presentation be on the LCS parents, I could not have agreed more. The important role which parents and guardians play in the education of their children cannot be overstated. My husband Peter and I are the proud parents of 3 Lynchburg City School graduates. Just like most parents with young children, when our kids were growing up, our schedules were packed with personal and professional commitments. But from the time our oldest started kindergarten in 1994 to our youngest child's graduation from high school in 2016, we found many ways to help out in the schools. Sometimes we volunteered together, such as the year we found out the hard way that when your son is selected as captain of the soccer team, the parents are put in charge of the concession stand at the city stadium for every home game. That was a busy spring. Other times, Peter and I did each our own thing, such as chairing the elementary school carnival, me, serving the PTO treasurer for more years than he could count, Peter, working the early shift at the after-prom party at the mall from midnight to 2 a.m., me, working the dreaded late shift at the same after-prom party from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., Peter. There were many other opportunities for us to get involved over the 22 years we were parents of LCS students, including for me, 9 years of having the privilege of serving on the LCS school board. But we never had to tackle virtual learning and the health scares that parents dealt with in recent years. Now that we are empty nesters, we look back on our time with nostalgia and have gratitude for those parents who are making a difference for today's students. I look forward to hearing Dr. Edwards share the stories of today's LCS parent heroes. Now for a few necessary instructions before we proceed with breakfast and this morning's program. The EC Glass Air Force Junior ROTC, under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Leslie Pratt, will present the colors for the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. James Coleman, chair of the LCS School Board, will then lead us in a moment of silence. Please then look for the direction of the catering staff. They will let each table know when it is time to proceed to the buffet line. Thank you again for all your support, and please enjoy the 17th Annual Superintendent's Breakfast.
Color guard, halt. Order, colors. Flag, face. Carry, colors. Reset, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, colors. Order, arms. Right, face. Carry, colors. Forward, march.
Thank you, Julie and Dawn. What an amazing picture portrait of the excellence of Lynchburg in this room. For just a moment, we thought it to be wise to reflect on the tragedy, turmoil, tumult that not only exists in our community but our nation, and to have a brief moment of reflection in the way you best choose, so that we might be encouraged. I always believe in good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good becomes better and your better is best. Together we can reflect and then act in the best way for our kids. Let us observe a moment of silence. Thank you. And now on to the breakfast. It is now my distinct honor, on behalf of our incredible Master Lynchburg City School Board, seated to my left, and I'm going to ask that my colleagues would please stand and be recognized on the Lynchburg City School Board. Give them a great big hand for their service. It is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, who we believe, as a board, is one of the best educational personalities leading a school division in our dear Commonwealth and nation. Well prepared for this assignment, she holds degrees from some of America's most prestigious institutions of higher learning, to include Penn State University, Rutgers University, and Seton Hall University. She has led this school division in the midst of the dark and stormy night of COVID-19 to the bright, sunshiny day of new opportunities that are now upon us as we celebrate partnering with parents. Ladies and gentlemen, warmly welcome the 13th Superintendent of Lynchburg City Schools, Dr. Crystal Edwards.
Woo, what an introduction. Thank you, Dr. Coleman, my school board. It's good to be in person, right? Good to have fellowship today. I missed it when we did it virtually, but I'm glad to be here and see so much community support. I have the support of my staff here. If you are a principal or a director or on a senior leadership team, can you please raise your hand? Thank you for being here. Those are the leaders that take care of our children. We also have membership from our city here, and I'm grateful to welcome them as well. Mayor Reed could not be here this morning. She sent her regrets and let us know bright and early to have a wonderful day. But we have members from City Council. We do have our very distinguished Vice Mayor, Chris Feraldi, here. Council Member Mary Jane Dolan is here. Council Member Marty Mischins is here. I did not see Council Member Larry Taylor, whether or not he was here, but Council Member Sterling Wilder is here. We also have representation from our city office. I see the Deputy City Manager, Greg Patrick, here. Our police chief, Zuma, is here, as well as members from our fire department and from the Economic Development Office. So it is really great to just have so much fellowship, community, partners here. But today, we are celebrating parents as partners in education. And just for a second, I want you to close your eyes and think back. Think back to that first classroom that you remember. Can you see your teacher? Is there an instructional assistant helping? What about the furniture? a read aloud reading lesson, science, PE, lunch, right? All part of that experience. Can you visualize that first classroom? Well, let's see if your first classroom matches what my first classroom was like. So when I think of the first classroom and I start thinking of furniture, did yours have a crib, a playpen, a high chair? Was that the furniture in your first classroom? Was your teacher a parent? Were the classroom assistants grandma, auntie, uncle, brothers, sisters, cousins, family, friends? Was your read aloud a bedtime story read to you by your parents? Was your literacy lesson learning how to say mommy, daddy? Was health and PE class an opportunity for you to learn how to lift your head, roll over? Let's teach you how to crawl, teach you how to walk, teach you how to run. Was science for you like science for me, where I learned about the world around me like any curious toddler by taking every object, whether it was a sock, a toy, or even dirt, and just putting it in my mouth so I can learn about the world around me? That was science in my first classroom. And we even had social emotional learning and family life, where I learned how to clean up after myself. I learned how to clean myself. I learned how to take turns, be patient. I learned how to be kind. I learned how to care for others, to say please and thank you. I learned how to be reflective. And all of this I learned in my first classroom before the age of 3, before you even joined the walls of LCS. Our first classroom is at home. And our first teachers, our first educators, the first people who are invested in our learning are our parents. And that's why today we are here to celebrate parents as partners, but also parents as the first educators in our lives. For those of you who are here from preschool education, early childhood education, Centra Medical, those folks know that a lot of learning, brain development, happens before the age of 3. Before they come to our 3-year-old preschool program, much brain development is happening. And can you imagine if parents didn't do what they needed to do during these early years? And by parents, I'm adding parentheses around that, right? Because parent could be a caregiver, a foster parent. It could be grandma, it could be grandpa. It could be an older sibling, the caring adult in our kids' lives. That is what parents do. And we at LCS are grateful for the work and investment that our parents take before they come to us. But once they do come to us, and they join our family, whether as a 3-year-old in our preschool program or a 17-year-old in our high school program, our parents are very involved as educational partners. They encourage learning, they stimulate learning. They help us by providing a place at home where learning can continue, where our kids won't be distracted, and they can be their best selves at home. They communicate with our teachers and our staff. They help us by teaching us about their babies. And you know what that means? They trust us. They send us their children to co-parent almost in the development of our kids. And we are very appreciative of the responsibility, but we love working with our parents. We enjoy learning about the young people for whom we serve. Sherry Steele, who is principal at Bedford Hills, said, whether it's helping their kids with homework or just making sure they get a good night's rest, we greatly appreciate the efforts at home of our parents. We know that not every parent could be PTO president or volunteer at the school, but what they do at home to support their child's education every day matters so very much. So I never want us to underestimate the value of what you do at home. And if you can't be a volunteer at school, it's okay, because you're present, participating at home. Derek Womack, principal, Sandusky Elementary School, said, "Our parents are our number one partners in ed. If we call them, they come. If we need or ask, they give of their time, their talent, resources. And if they even continue to ask, what more can we give? Whether it's volunteering at school events, chaperoning field trips, tutoring students, particularly after the pandemic, or simply assisting at lunch and recess. They are always supporting their children in our schools, and they support our staff and our building as well. We could not do what we do and have the success that we have if it wasn't for the continued support of our families. So from Derek Womack, families, thank you for being our number one partner in education. And there's a saying at Sandusky Elementary School, I don't know where Derek, there you go. There's that saying, and it's so important today. And what they say every day at Sandusky is, we do it better when we do it together, right? And that is so important here. And I want to share with you some of the statistics about what it looks like when we do it better, when we do it together. So just from this year alone, remember, we went through the pandemic where we kind of had to shut down volunteering, but parents came back. They bounced back. They were present in our schools. This year alone, for parents, family members, or caregivers, we had 780 volunteers, and those were the ones who registered through our system. There are many, many more. And then when you add the community members, which are many of you, the businesses, the colleges, the nonprofits, the college students who also work with our kids, we have over 1,030 volunteers in our schools. Let me give you the magnitude of what that is. It is about 3,000 total school day volunteer hours, and that's just at the elementary school. 3,000 volunteer hours in our schools. Our parents are an integral part of what we do. So you've heard me talk about parents, but why don't we hear from a parent? Mr. Brian Crutchfield is one of our parents. He has 3 children at Bass Elementary School, one in 2nd grade, one in 3rd grade, and one in 5th grade. Now those of you, I have 5, so those of you with 3 or more, you understand what life is like in your house, and when they're all that young together, it's pretty busy. But in the Crutchfield house, even with their children and the busyness of their lives, and they also went to Hutcherson, they make time to volunteer in our schools. So let's hear from Mr. Crutchfield about the importance of volunteering at LCS.
So some of the reasons why I felt that it was really important to volunteer was because it gave me an opportunity to show my face honestly in the classroom. And so just being able to see a face that was familiar, I think was really helpful. And being in this community in Lynchburg, my children's peers go to our church, you serve on basketball teams together. So them being able to see me not just in those settings, but also in this setting, I thought was really effective. And I enjoyed it, being able to make it full circle that, I'm able to check on them and how they're doing academically, so now when they're at the basketball game, I could be like, oh, how did you do on that test? Or how was that quiz? Or, I heard about that new song you are singing, so it just really, to me, brought the pieces all together. So I think that's what I've always really enjoyed about volunteering. I think there's an opportunity as a parent and as just to be able to support your child and what they're doing and also their peers, that maybe not have the parent that can come, to see them, when they're performing at school or when they got honor roll or what have you. So I thought that was really always effective, and with my volunteering, it was sometimes sitting in the cafeteria just talking to them, or sometimes it was reading a book in the classroom. Sometimes it was outside playing with them on the playground and kind of interacting with them in that way. And so I've always felt that that's been the difference for me as a parent and also as someone that lives in this community. That there's, I've had, even my kids would tell me about they saw other volunteers that would come. So I've always felt that just brings the community in tighter together. So that's really how I came into kind of serving as a parent in the Lynchburg City Schools, was just like volunteering initially, observing my child's behavior to see what was going on, having that connection to the school made me feel safe when I'm sending my kids to school there, because I know Mr. So-and-so, I know Miss So-and-so, I know, that they're looking out for the best interests of my family. And so it's one thing when I'm just sending them and I don't have a connection to that school, but when I know the people and I'm able to be like, oh, hey, how you doing? And we have a little small talk. When I'm sending them there in and day out, I have this kind of peace in knowing that my kids are okay. Like I know that they're, when I'm getting that call from the nurse or I'm getting that call from the something that's happening in the cafeteria or what have you, it's different because I know this is like a extension of family for me. Can we do every PTA meeting? Can we do every, sit down and make every meeting and, everything like that? No. But when we can show up, when we can be present, how effective it can be for the school and how effective it can be for the students and for the teachers. But I think what our takeaway has been is that it works. It's effective to be, to get involved.
So, one of the joys that I experienced when we had Senator Kane come visit Bass Elementary School is Monica Hendricks has selected 2 students to be ambassadors and sort of meet and greet. And one of the students was Mr. Crutchfield's son. He was so proud and so excited to be able to be the one at the door that when Dr. Wodoka and I walked in, they perked up and they rehearsed with us and they kind of walked us through, and then they realized that we weren't the real dignitaries, that was a practice run. But he was just as cute as can be. And we looked at these 2 young people, and really what we saw was many versions of ourselves, right? They were there, they were leaders. They took the responsibility. They welcomed these dignitaries to their school, and there was just a sense of pride in the children. And, I had met the Crutchfields afterwards to just talk to them about their role in making that happen, right? Because we do what we can in the 7 hours, but we recognize that a lot of that, as I started earlier, started at home. So that wonderful combination, that was a proud moment for me to just watch children own the leadership of their school, brag about their school, and bring people in. So we are grateful for the volunteers that join us. And when volunteers get together as a group, it's even better. Do I have any PTO presidents in the house here? Any PTO members? Raise your hand. Come on now. Raise them proud. So my entire career, I was a teacher. So that meant I didn't have very much time during the day to leave my job and go to my kids' school because I was teaching other people's children. But I was grateful for the PTO. I was grateful for those parents who could be there with my daughter if I couldn't be there. I was grateful for their leadership. And often it's a handful of people doing everything, right? If you've worked on PTO, you are doing everything. But the work that they do is so important and so valuable. And it's easy to just kind of take it for granted and think, oh, PTO, that's just a group. It's a clique. It's not. It's a committed group of individuals who are there to make sure that all children thrive. They support all of our teachers. They do whatever is necessary. And the beauty of PTOs? They can do some things that we as school divisions can't do. They're like, oh, we'll fund that. We'll be able to do that. So their support, their backup, their love of our staff, their care for every kid is so valuable. So let's take a look at Bedford Hills PTO President Amanda Rumore and Sherry Steele, Principal.
My name is Amanda Ramore. I am the PTO president here at Bedford Hills, and I am also the proud parent of 3 Bedford Hills students, 2 in kindergarten and 1 in 3rd grade. So our PTO aims to assist teachers in the classroom, students at home, parents being involved in the school. Every member of our PTO is a parent, guardian, aunt, uncle, cousin of a Bedford Hills student. We are a non-dues organization, so anybody can be part of our PTO.
At Bedford Hills, we have a very strong PTO, and when I was first looking to move, that was one of the things that actually attracted me here to Lynchburg City Schools and to Bedford Hills, because I was so impressed with the amount of people who were involved. And it's not a few people doing a lot of work, it's just a lot of people doing some work. So it's all those hands working together, and I was really impressed by that community spirit.
As far as our PTO, we have volunteer opportunities for parents that range from 30 minutes a year to being on our board, which is a little bit more intensive. But our goal is to have something for everyone. And we encourage parents to come to all of our events. They're always open and free to everyone, and they can find different ways that they can help out in the school. We are here just to support students, the school, the teachers, the staff, and we will help you find a way to be involved in the school regardless of the time commitment you can make. I also know that during the pandemic, we kind of lost that volunteer base that we have in all of the different schools, and this is really our first year getting that back. And so we want parents to know that the doors are open. We can come in and help in our students' classrooms, in the library, in the cafeteria. There are plenty of ways that you can volunteer in your child's school now.
Parents, welcome back. We have missed you over the pandemic, and we have been creative in finding ways to still be connected through Zoom and different opportunities, but being able to open our doors again and have our parents come in. Every parent, and I mean parent could be foster parent, grandparent, uncle, aunt, person caring for you, whoever that is. We're just so thrilled to have them back and have them involved in our school. You know, we can do a lot of things during the day. Our teachers are absolutely amazing. Our staff is amazing. But we're always looking to bring it to that next level. And our volunteers and our PTO is what really brings us to that next level. When we want to plan a stream night or we want to do an activity, to have our parents, our community come and rally around us and say, I can do a station, I can help out here. That's just the next level of education and our tradition of excellence in Lynchburg. And that just brings us to a whole nother opportunity to expose our children to many things in the world and to get them inspired and excited about learning. And we could not do that without our parent community, our PTO, and all of those who support us every day.
I think the combination of teachers and leadership and the PTO, we're all working together to make Bedford Hills just a great elementary school. Each school in LCS is different. There are different parent organizations representing each school. And if you want to volunteer, if you want to be part of your child's education in the school building, reach out to your PTO organization or reach out to your school's leadership. They would be more than happy to help you find a way to be involved.
So sometimes when we think about the PTOs, we think about elementary school. That's where we have active PTOs. But we need PTOs in all of our schools, and middle school especially. When we think about the middle grades child right now, those of you who have middle school kids, it's a different time of life, right? Half the time they're crying and cuddling teddy bears like they're babies, and the other time they're just telling you that I'm the boss and I'm gonna do what I wanna do, right? They act like adults. So it's a confusing time for them, it's a confusing time for parents, but man, do I appreciate those middle school teachers who get it, because they just roll right with the kids. Well, today we're gonna act like we're 5? Okay. Today we're gonna act like we're 18? Okay. And the leadership works right along with them. But PTOs at the middle school are important as well. And here's what Kathy Dills, Lincoln Middle School principal, had to say about her PTO. Our PTO did an amazing job with their annual Jag Jag Color Run. Now, I'm a runner, and I love it. But doing that work as a PTO with a color run, and that's with all the powder and everything like that, and just doing some amazing things, it takes a special kind of parent to do that. And our theater parents work with Miss Brooke Spencer, and they just executed an amazing spring performance of The Lion King. So one of the things that we're trying to grow in Lynchburg City Schools, we have excellent theater programs, and we're really trying to grow that and look at the importance of parents being a part of that. So many of the parents have been willing to take their time and communicate with schools. And that communication, particularly at the middle grades level, when we talk about every child by name and by need, we need to hear from our middle grades parents to make that happen. Another one of my fun things that I love, I had the opportunity to travel to Richmond recently for the EC Glass State Championship basketball game. And as a parent of 5 kids, my kids did gymnastics, basketball, field hockey, soccer, theater, a little bit of everything. There were times, particularly with gymnastics, that I would be on the road for about 4 hours there, and you had to get there early. And my daughter, as a gymnast, would do 90 seconds of a beam routine. And then I'd drive 4 hours back, right? Right? So parents, you know, but you have to be there and show up. And I think Mr. Crutchfield in his video said you can't show up to everything all the time. But man, do our parents show up. So I drove to Richmond and, to support EC Glass. And I found myself right smack in the middle of the parent section. And when I say parent section, I just might as well say it's half of the stadium. So many parents were there supporting our kids. So many kids were there who either took the bus or their parents brought them there. But the level of cheer, excitement, I almost forgot I was superintendent and was in my parent hat. When you're a parent, you could say some stuff. When you're superintendent, you gotta watch it. And then I made everybody nervous because they're like, hey, superintendent's sitting in front of us right here. We gotta be good. But it was just great to just have that camaraderie and have parents supporting not just their kid, right? Cheering for everybody, supporting the coach, supporting Lynchburg City Schools. So we were well represented, and our kids played well. I mean, it was excellent. It was a nail biter, but just a wonderful atmosphere. So the value of having PTOs and the value of having booster clubs that support our kids is extremely important. And one of my favorite fans, who's actually sitting behind me, Mr. Charlie White, is going to share with us the importance of athletic boosters.
You cannot have successful teams to the degree that EC Glass High School has had successful athletic teams without first building successful young people and successful citizens. I think that continuing success is a function of a multi-generational pattern of support where families come along and they see what's been done for their children and the work that's been done ahead of them to put their children in a position to be successful. And I think there's a genuine desire to want to pay that forward. I can certainly tell you on the part of our family, we feel a strong sense of obligation to provide this year's juniors, sophomores, freshmen, and whatever 8th graders there are coming up and beyond with similar opportunities and experiences that have been afforded our children. I'm the outgoing president of the Topper Touchdown Club, which is the primary booster organization for the EC Glass football program. And the conversation has always started with a conversation with the coaching staff about what do your kids need to become more successful members of this team. And to our coaches' credit, that has always begun with a conversation about their academic success. And for us specifically, our most significant support has come in the form of really foundational things like nutritional support. I think most people don't appreciate, while we have a great school nutrition program, the level of fuel that's required to effectively support adolescent student athletes who are truly committed to excellence it's a heck of a lot more nutritional support than I think most people might appreciate. That in itself is an enormous effort, but also providing supplemental resources around college visits to college campuses and camps for some of our student athletes who aspire to continue their education and continue their athletic career in college, to help provide them with opportunities to get exposure to a college campus where they might not otherwise, have that opportunity. There's just a tremendous amount that's needed to build championship caliber individuals into a championship team. There's a tremendous amount that's needed that's never going to be provided by public funds. And the happiest thing for our family has been to see really that village come together, that village of parents and community volunteers from all different backgrounds, to see that village come together and invest in each other's children, and see these guys, put championship banners on the wall.
Parental involvement is something that's extremely vital to our success for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the fundraising piece is key, and the fact that while divisions supply money for us to buy the necessities and do things, over time as finances and things change and expenses change, it's vital for us to provide the extra things that we need. And so parent involvement and outside alumni involvement is crucial in us getting those things. One of the biggest ways that we have parental support is the general athletic boosters that kind of encompasses everybody here in all of our athletic teams. And they are crucial in running all of the concession stands on site. And it's all from parent volunteers, it's all from parent work, it's parent driven, and on top of the concession stands and funding that to be able to give additional money to the athletic teams for different things. They also fund scholarships that are athletic scholarships that seniors can apply for to take with them, obviously, when they go to college. And so all of that's crucial. Without them, I think we would be in a much more destitute state in the kind of things that you see that make a school shine, right? And when we talk about the tradition of excellence, it's ultimately like sports, it's a team effort. And so it's an all-in buy-in, and it's not just in the financial piece, but it's also in the, I guess you could say, in the consistency and the showing up and setting the standards. If the parents buy into the standards that we're wanting to instill in children and the expectation, then it's a united front, and we're getting the greatest output of a student athlete here at EC Glass.
If you want to motivate a young adult to make better choices in their life, one of the first things you need to convince them of is that they're a part of something special, and it's worth sacrificing to be a part of something special. And I think that community and booster support and parental support is a huge part of that. That booster and community support framework helps show them that people care, and people value those sacrifices, and people care about their future. And I, for one, believe both in terms of my personal experience as a student athlete here and also as a parent and a volunteer myself, that makes a difference. It makes a significant difference in terms of motivating young people to make better choices in their life and to sacrifice for the greater good. For those in the audience who are old like me, if you're not in a position to spend time around our students and to spend time around young people, it's easy to get a little pessimistic about the state of the world. And I would just recommend to you that if you want to brighten your day and you want to feel better about the future, spend time with Lynchburg City School students. I'm biased when I say this. Come spend time in the athletic department at EC Glass, because you will see young people leading and displaying a genuine affection for one another and sacrificing for one another in a way that, frankly, a lot of adults in leadership positions could learn from.
So those were some powerful words from Charlie White that I definitely co-sign with. And he mentioned that what young people sacrifice and what our young people do. And I know over in the corner there is Principal Tim Beatty over there, and we just heard a lot about Glass athletics, and I'm not getting in trouble today, so I will make sure to note that we also have state championship track teams over there on the other side of town, Heritage High School. And much like Elizabeth Dennis Knight, who is our athletic director there, is very grateful for the support of the parents who support our student scholars, our student athletes. And he talked about just the amount of transportation. You are a taxi cab driving your kids back and forth to practice, in the evenings, on the weekends, on holidays, and the importance of those snacks and those pre-game meals. I don't know about 5 kids, right? So you can think about my my food bill. And when they were in season, just double that food bill, like especially with my son. So knowing that we have supportive parents who are willing to take care of our kids, to make sure, as Charlie said, they have enough fuel to make it through is really great. And I also just want to give a shout out to our theater parents as well. And I know I won't be able to mention all of the groups, but we have this small little theater program at Dunbar Middle School that is almost worldwide, nationally known, and has traveled to Atlanta and done some amazing things. And those are our middle school kids who are doing it. And Lori Carter, who is the production director for Dunbar, talked about without parent support, many of the things that add to this theatrical production would not be possible, including lighting and better sound and the amount of lumber and paint for sets, props, costumes being sewn and created by parents, and concession stands. Julie talked about the concession stands. Parents raise money through raffles and fundraisers and sales, and they sponsor these productions. The Dunbar Theater Parent Organization is absolutely necessary for the success of that program. And they have had this theater connection, DTC, for over 17 years. And truly, 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 they have been so supportive of that program, and it shows. And I'm checking my time. So, as I shift, we've seen all the parent involvement directly in the schools, but leadership from myself to my school board right here, we need parents too. We need to hear from parents too. We have advisory groups. The school board has advisory groups. We have a special education advisory group that helps out with the implementation and plans and needs for our students with disabilities. We have a CTE advisory group and a new CTE supervisor, and kids just went to Skills USA and have been competing in workforce and really showcasing their skills, and so many parents help out with that. We have a school health advisory board as well that helps us with, particularly now, mental wellness of our students, health, important needs. They are critical partners. We also have an equity task force advisory board that helps us with those issues that are arising today as schools face many, many challenges. And our mission is really to provide excellent educational services for all. And each one of these advisory boards to the school board are critical in our success. And we often find ourselves going back to them, asking them to share thoughts, input, help us as we move forward. We're about to do a new strategic plan. They're going to be instrumental in moving us forward there. And even I love my evenings with my parent advisory, Superintendent's Parent Advisory. I have 3 members from each school on my parent advisory. We do everything from, hey, let's take a look at the calendar. Let's talk about safety. How can we better communicate? What programs should we be looking at? I mean, my parents on parent advisory are absolutely wonderful. We have a real trusting relationship where they can tell me almost anything. They praise what we do well, but they don't hold back either and tell us where we could get better and what we need to do better. And we use their suggestions. It was from Parent Advisory that parents said, we really want a real parent-teacher conference night where we can engage with them. So we listen to our parents. We're excited about our parents. And one of our parents on our Parent Advisory, who you're about to hear from, Ms. Kim Dillard, we found ourselves at a 5K, I think it was the CASA 5K run, and my mom was with me. And my mom is walking, and I'm running, and I'm concerned that she might be walking by herself. And Mrs. Dillard was there, and I asked her, I said, hey, do you mind if my mom walks with you? By the time they finished those 3.1 miles, you thought they were sisters. That's how she embraced my mom during that time. And I was just grateful for that. I'm like, That's one of my parents, taking care of my parent. It doesn't get any better than that. So let's hear from Mrs. Dillard about the importance of parent advisory.
Being able to be a parent of an LCS student makes me prideful. I hold my shoulders back, and I'm just really excited. I am a product of LCS, as are my other 5 siblings. So, 6 of us have come through EC Glass High School, and my son, I'm glad to have him here, and I'm sure my other siblings that are not in the area anymore wish their kids were here. So I just feel really comfortable in that he is thriving and growing, and that's what I want for him. The LCS experience that I have had with my son throughout his tenure here has been that every time I call, my need is met with what would seem to be urgency, because they generally get back to me the same day. And I am an involved parent in that anything that I have a question or concern about, whether it be attendance or even lunch, I call the main office and they direct me, and I've had just a wonderful, wonderful partnership with them in that. I feel it's important for student success because the more you know, the more your child can grow. That's my motto. The more I know, the more he can grow. So if he has a need and he expresses it to me, I express it to the school, and I've never been turned away for any small concern. I highly recommend that any and all parents get involved. And you can start with calling the main office. They're very receptive and can lead you to where you need to go. And it has helped my son excel. Principal Flora here contacted me via email and asked if I would be interested in being one of the Parental Advisory Committee board members. So we are parents of students in LCS, and we confer with the school board and make decisions, but the school board wants to hear a voice from the folks on the inside. And so we all collectively provide that. And if there's anything that they have in the way of a survey, they send it out, and they also allow us to come back to the school and get views from other parents. It's wonderful. It's an honor. They hear us, they listen, and they actually confer with each other and make a plan, and we get together and decide what's best for our students, because each student here is just not a number. We graduate these kids on through with a heart of caring, and I just wouldn't have my son anywhere else.
I just love that last line. I wouldn't have my son anywhere else. That just does it for me as a superintendent. Family engagement is so important to us. We have a saying, 7, 8, 9, 7 hours is what your children spend in school with us. 8 hours of good, restful sleep, which I'm looking forward to today. And then what about the other 9 hours that make up our 24-hour day? They're with their families, they're in the community, they're engaging. I'm gonna look at my buddy, the police chief, and say, the more engaged our kids are with something that matters to them, that connect them, that help them develop good citizenship, be a good person, the less we have to worry about them being in the streets, making choices that they shouldn't make. So as a community, we want to engage our kids. We have wonderful activities that help with that other 9 hours. Sharon Anderson, who's over there, she has a flash program, Families Learning at School and Home. It's a collaborative where she brings the whole family in, the kids in school, the toddlers, the babies, the families. The kids get reading and math lessons. The parents get to work together and talk about best parent strategies and how to support their kids. All of our schools have family nights, science night, stream night, literacy night, fun night, all kinds of events to get families out and to bring kids out to join us. And even in the community, we have such wonderful community partners. We have the YMCA that does a lot of programming for our kids. We have Lacey that does wonderful things for our kids. Our colleges and universities and partners have wonderful activities. There's always so much to do. We got Kumbaya, like the list goes on and on and on for things that we can do for our kids in our community. And it's up to each of us to connect those kids to the positive things in their life so that they're not choosing the negative things in their lives. And I'm grateful for our parents for making that happen. So as I close, there's one more thing that I just want to share. You know, we recently changed our mission statement from every child by name and by need to graduation, and we officially added and beyond, because it's not good enough to just graduate kids these days. They have to have a plan for and beyond. They have to be sustainable, happy adults who don't live paycheck to paycheck. And that's our responsibility and how we connect them to and beyond. So I'm grateful for all of my community partners here, my colleges and my universities, for the folks who are going on to that post-secondary. Military, you saw our kids, they are ready and representing today. Entrepreneurship, we have a lot of startup businesses, small companies, large companies, internships that are feeding that need for our kids to be creative and wonderful, to support that and beyond. And even our colleges are doing things with navigators and having that connection for kids so that they'll be successful. Because you could get to college, we could get there, but will you finish, right? And our kids need some additional help to finish. We briefly talked about some of the mental health and mental wellness, and you all see it in the news all the time, the pressure that our children are under. So there's no shortage of parenting, right? And it doesn't end when they get their high school diploma. Parenting continues past high school diploma. Parenting continues past college, past first baby, past first divorce. Parenting just continues. So there's a group of parents that I want to just close with and celebrate. And those are the parents of the people who provide the support for our children. The parents of our teachers, the parents of our bus drivers, the parents of our guidance counselors, our IT professionals, our finance department. And I'm gonna introduce you to just one parent. I'm gonna ask her to stand. Her name is Miss Jean. Miss Jean, can you stand, please? So much like the way that parents go to basketball games to support their children, or you're in the theater, or maybe you're at that forensics competition or the poetry throwdown slam to support your children, Miss Jean finds herself on Tuesday nights watching board meetings, watching council meetings, watching her child do her work. Because Miss Jean is my mom. Miss Jean is the parent of your superintendent. And as public education has become under attack, you can imagine sometimes my knees get a little weak and I get a little weary, but it's nice when I go home and there's chicken and mashed potatoes and corn on the cob, because my mommy made that for me. And you know what that does? That fortifies me so that the next day I come back, I'm ready to embrace my babies. I'm gonna give them my A game because somebody at home helped me with my A game. And I want you to think about every teacher. Every teacher is somebody's child, right? Every assistant, bus driver, school counselor, nurse, somebody's child. So on those days when we hear some bad news and we go home, and we've had our fair share of bad news in this community, we've had our fair share of death in this community, that has weighed on the adults who have their arms open for our children. But thank goodness those adults have adults that support them. So in closing, as we celebrate parents, we're gonna celebrate all parents. Parents as partners, the parents of our students, the parents of our staff, you as parents, your parents who supported you getting here today. It is a great day to celebrate. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm now going to turn it over to Miss Dawn Wise, who has been my partner and has really been a blessing to work with. And we at Lynchburg City Schools are glad she is a part of the Ed Foundation. Dawn.
Dr. Edwards is trying to make me cry before I come up here. Good morning, everyone. And I have to do this really quickly because I know you really want to get out of here, but I got to take a selfie. With 400 of my new best friends. There we go. All right. Brock's Cruise would want me to take a selfie. So, good morning. I am Dawn Wise, and I am the new Executive Director of the Lynchburg City Schools Education Foundation. I am the third Executive Director in its almost 40 years of being in existence. And there is no better way for me to start these closing remarks without thanking, first and foremost, our previous Executive Director, Jody Gillette, for her incredible 12 years of service to the foundation. Absolutely. Jody could not be here today because she's actually in Vegas. Yes, not a joke. So I told her I was going to roast her on that one. She's actually at an Education Foundation conference, but I'm sure she's hitting the slots too. So I definitely want to recognize her, even though she's not here. A little insight into how she helped build the foundation to what it is today. When Jody took over the helm in 2010, this organization had an annual operating budget of right around $95,000. And today, the foundation's balance sheet sits at almost $1 million. So she has increased that tenfold in 12 years. Absolutely. It is not only a testament to the amazing development work of Jody, but also to the incredible work our city's public schools continues to accomplish. Our philanthropic community, many of you here today, you want to support great things, and our Lynchburg City Schools are great things. The Ed Foundation's mission is to advance excellence and equity in the Lynchburg City Schools through advocacy and educational funding, and this breakfast is one very important way that we advocate for our schools, as it provides a forum for you to stay informed. Our programs in this event would not be possible without your interest, commitment, and most importantly, your financial support. Thank you to all of our today's sponsors and for so generously supporting the mission of the Education Foundation. You're welcome to a woohoo when I say your name, including our lead sponsors, Lynchburg Beacon of Hope, Truist, Hurt and Profit, Birkeland Toyota, Centra, Dominion 7 Architects, Fleet Laboratories, Greater Lynchburg Community Foundation, US Pipe, MH Masonry and Associates, Piedmont Community Health Plan, and the University of Lynchburg. We also want to thank our 40 table sponsors today for investing in the breakfast. So a total of 52 organizations came together to support this breakfast today, for supporting our initiatives along with the other businesses, organizations, and individuals joining us today. Please take a few moments to read through the list of sponsors in the program and consider securing the services of these organizations and businesses who want to work hard to support public education in so many ways. And I'm going to run through this one. This breakfast would not be possible without the help of so many other key people. See, Dr. Edwards came looking. Thank you to Dr. Edwards and her team, who I joyfully get to work with every single day, and I love you all so much. And Austin Journey, who from day one, together with Dr. Edwards, helped implement the vision and coordinated the message of all of today's speakers. Scott Kirkwood, Andrew Wilds, Michael Vaughn and his University of Lynchburg staff, can't say enough about them. President Allison Morrison Shetlar, who welcomes half of Lynchburg every time this year to campus for this breakfast. Jacob Caldwell from Dominion 7, the Economic Development Department for the City of Lynchburg, and our education partners, Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance and the Partners in Education, Lynchburg Beacon of Hope, and my team, Bianca Childress. Where are you, Bianca? Yay! For her tireless work for implementing and supporting our brand new implementation, the Lynchburg Imagination Library. Please talk to her about giving for their corporate cornerstone campaign. And Tracy Baker for being the most indispensable right-hand powerhouse of a woman. And my board of trustees, in particular, our board president, Julie Doyle, who along with Tracy has helped this transition between Jody and myself appear seamless when we all know it was not. If you'd like to learn more about the Education Foundation, there is literature in the foyer. You can take a development packet, or please get in touch with me or one of our trustees. Can my trustees just once again raise your hands so people can come and ask you for, you can get their money, there you go. Donation cards and envelopes are also on the tables. There's also a QR code on your program.
Someone actually just donated, so go ahead and scan that. Tracy Baker also can take any money that you owe for the breakfast, or if you would like to donate money and give it to her. I'm always asking for money. Also, please take a centerpiece that is on your desk, on your tables. Those were actually created by the students from our city schools. So take those with you. I used to have a ton of them when I was at United Way. They're joyful. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for being here. Together, we have the power of success. Thank you for all the ways you invest in Lynchburg City Schools, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.